in consideration of the European rock and metal market. Usually these longer numbers on just face of duration carry a certain level of anticipation. That's been the story to the credits of numerous artists who have had longer works to explore. I'm sure it will be, again, a wonderful, exquisite offering. That's been the story for every track we've entertained together through Morten Veland's vision of what I've experienced and grown accustomed to in a little over a year at this point from both Mortemia and Sirenia as outlets. But Mortemia specifically, I have greatly loved introducing myself to a vast body of work, some of which is still developing on release, but the Pandemic Pandemonium Sessions was a sophomore album that was concluded a little while ago, and we'd only humored 7 works at one point, so I decided to return back, and I'm glad I did. In particular, because again, of what I've spoken to previously on numerous accounts, the Mortemia model experience, as I call it. If you've not yet been introduced to Mortemia, I'm grateful this will be a first footing for you. I would highly advise you go into the entirety of the Pandemic Pandemonium Sessions, whether in isolation or perhaps you can take the journey with me. I provided those opportunities publicly, even when I was first introduced to Mortemia, all the way back from that What Else Is There Röyksopp cover, just a little over a year ago. And that was, I still remember that first experience, and ever since, I have loved getting that deeper embrace for his vision. This album has been something really stellar to experience, and to humor it with you in full, even better. As I think music is enjoyed better in company, it really enriches the experience. It's fun in isolation, but it's just not the same as enjoying it with others, and perhaps paving routes for you to explore good work, which is my, in particular, passion with the artistic world in general, but music is the first love in my life amongst artistic languages. It means so much to take these rides with you. And concerning, as I said, the Mortemia model, right? Let me start, again, just as I've specified in other videos previous to this, for anybody who's not yet been introduced to the Mortemia credit by name, just to accommodate you and your standing. Norwegian-based Gothic and symphonic metal music. But the essence of Mortemia and why this has been so creative is not only on the artistic expression capabilities on behalf of Morten Veland's vision, but the collaborative framework for what Mortemia model constitutes, as I term it. This idea of bringing together the musical vision from Morten Veland and pairing it with collaborative talents abroad, typically leading female rock artists from different groups, of different stripes as well within the metal and rock territories for sure, and some maybe that depart from the typical European origin. I believe of this, yes, with this artist we're going back in. Every artist at this point that we've entertained on Mortemia I've loved being introduced to, and again, as I specified before, the Mortemia model is key for me on Focus. As I'm taking a self-led journey into the European rock and metal foray and discovering new talents for myself and providing opportunities for you to also take that journey with me, having introductions, right, or points for branching out, I welcome any opportunity of that. I've gotten a plethora of names in my comment section, all of which I catalog, but for Mortemia, I've gotten a great supply as well, and I've been able to take the legacy of the Mortemia model and actualize my goals with it at present, and some have not yet been materialized, but for sure are coming, some quite soon, in fact. Using Mortemia as the initial introduction encounter, and then looking into the specified surroundings of those artists he decides to collaborate with and find out, okay, what groups are they connected to, what tracks have been released, what can we look at together to gain an education for new artists that have not necessarily been introduced names, but through exploring music together, we can take that journey. It's been a fun ride to carry the legacy of the Mortemia model forward, and I will continue to do so as Mortemia's vision is still evolving, even just beyond the Pandemic Pandemonium Sessions, with currently the COVID Aftermath Sessions, which is also equally promising. This will carry forward. And as I said, if there's any artists I've not yet gotten into that exploration phase, there's been a couple. I will get to them at some point. And Heidi Parviainen, I'm probably mispronouncing the name. Feel free to disclose down below if I am, if anybody's knowledgeable coming into her being a familiarized name for yourself. She will be cataloged on the list temporarily. But a specific attribution, she is from, I believe, Dark Sarah, I think is the name. Did I write that down correctly? I can't even read my own handwriting. Yes, a Finnish-based, I love Finland musicians, oh my gosh, whether it be, let's say, Apocalyptica or Battle Beast, oh, I don't know necessarily, oh, actually, no, I did write it down. She is a trained lyric soprano. I love anything of an operatic stripe, so I'm sure this would be quite fun if that is employed in the song. Maybe that could go different places, right? There's been some other opera-like artists that have graced Mortemia's projects before. Let's say, for example, Amba Vuvahes of Zandria, and it was more melodic in presentation there, though when I introduced myself to Zandria on a broader note, that was certainly a surprise. And maybe with Heidi, it'll be the same respect. But Finnish-based, I'm attracted on that note. As well from a genre connection, I guess makes sense why she's approaching Morticia, maybe outside of whatever connection I'm not aware of, but a symphonic metal basis and cinematic metal. I've not dived too deeply into that field yet. Symphonic metal I love, but cinematic, I like having opportunities for introductions, so perhaps with Dark Sarah we'll get a better window for that someday, or Heidi Parviainen more specifically at some point. But let's entertain Veiled in Despair, a great name, our finish to the run-through of the Pandemic Pandemonium sessions, which has been a wonderful journey to take it with you even better. A bit of a longer number at only 6 minutes, though in preparation and understanding of where this channel will be going to some of our European credits, it's not the longest. I think I've got a couple on my list that rank in the teens, so 6 minutes is kind of nothing in comparison to that, but on this album it is the longest on duration. Let's introduce ourselves to both a new number from Morticia, as well as perhaps mutually, maybe we're taking the experience of introducing ourselves to Heidi Parviainen for the first time, right? Not with Morticia, but maybe some of you follow that path. And again, I would advise you to take that deep dive into the Pandemic Pandemonium sessions generally. It is worth your time. But let's entertain, perhaps for an initial encounterance, Heidi Parviainen together. And to the same respect, Veiled in Despair as a number. Let's see which direction this goes. Operatic? I would love that. When you get the soprano regard. Has more of like a background echo effect, but it's okay. I hear it. It's still there. Okay, this is a softer number. Where is this placed? After Lost Horizon. Okay, this is taking down that momentum a bit. Following into what else is there? Even with melodic death growls, the ballad mood doesn't shift. I love that Morticia. It can dip deeply into metal and still be soft and delicate on Vision. Maintains that mood expertly. This might be very similar to Auber's appearance, but this takes on more of a melodic appearance on Morticia. I like the delicacy and the frailty in her accent as it is expressed. That's beautiful. It's a dainty touch. It is resting, though, in that lower range. I think it works for the song. It's a good melodic number. Again, you can have a softer number on Intention and that mood is not lost. No matter how dark it gets and how far it banks into metal. Get aggressive as you want, it's still present. Okay, an instrumental break. Interesting placement. I think it works. I was expecting again that chorus re-entrance with Heidi. They'll probably come up soon. Let's see. But the song has great balance to it. Okay, a different verse, a bit higher on pitch. Not much, but it's still a couple notes higher. The isolation, good choice. To drop in the amplification. Great choice. I love how wide of a field the symphonic metal territory is. You can bring in so much. Whether it be an energy cue or different instrumental use and application, I love the strings and piano exploration here. It's just wonderful for the album. Aids its vision beautifully. Great visual piece. Lyrical wording does match some of the other pieces in expression, including to some degree like What Else Is There? Again, I sense this transference on mood of where we're going in the album's navigation. It works incredibly well. It's a soft and sweet outro. Again, this number has extremely good balance, sufficient presentation, and quite vivid. I love how strings linger. That's beautiful. It's a subtle choice, but it just carries you well as an outro effect. It's a beautiful blending agent, again, to unify the number and expressive vision. You were teased of a softer experience, and you get that delivered for you beautifully, with, again, a bit of a mixture of tone. It surprises me, again, how adeptly Morten Veland mixes different types of sounds and makes it work, right? You can have a number that is a bit harsher. Of course, that's presented well with that type of agitated, pleasant chaos, but then you have a ballad number that also interweaves with same signature Mortimer marks on the Pandemic Pandemonium sessions, the death growls, the faster paced rhythms, and the express strength on the riffs, a real dominance, a softer ballad feel that does mimic other songs that take on that same type of artifice, whether it be, let's say, Here Comes Winter, What Else Is There? And again, I feel this album has great placement on where tracks are lined up. This perfectly goes into What Else Is There on both key choice and on mood. It's a great setup. Beautiful transitions, again, of pacing feel. So there are these tracks that are specified, at least in the way I see it, breaks. But again, they're placed expertly. Heidi's vocals, I wonder if this will be very similar to Amber, when I think of my experience of introducing myself to Zandria and witnessing those operatic talents not presented through the Hourglass, right? And that was through the COVID Aftermath sessions, the recent album of where she arrived, not on the Pandemic Pandemonium sessions. That was a later entrance, though, when I learned that she has an opera capability. Heidi is similar. For me, I would say Veiled in Despair is sort of a parallel, right, on both vocalists, in that they do mimic each other, again, on resting in that ballad melodic range at a lower interval of pitch. It's much softer, a little lower, not as high as I expected when you tell me that she's a trained lyric soprano. Whenever I see the soprano attribution, it automatically elevates, again, the vision of where you could go. But I leave a door open, right? I'm not faulting this in any way. I think the track is great on exploration. And the softer mood, operatic talents haven't necessarily, if they are softer voices, I mean, there's been a couple tracks where maybe that higher pitch is interwoven, but typically the numbers that command that type of energy are a bit more subdued on delivery, and it works. I think it's a good fit with the symphonic mood and the overall tone of the album, the Pandemic Pandemonium session as a whole, with, again, its gothic feeling. So you could interweave, again, a higher pitch if you so chose, but I think it still works to keep it at, again, a bit of a baseline, to amplify that vision of the number, which I also experience, not even having the lyrics in front of me. I hear certain keywords, and I do sense that type of natural imagery coming for me that is presented not only quite well and beautifully on the Mortemia visualizers when offered, but just even in listening to the song, you feel that mood with the symphonic energy blended well to just standing around like in nature and trying to envision this scene for yourself in your own mind. Even if, again, you still maybe have to put the pieces together. And that helps sometimes when you're doing a review experience and not necessarily an off-the-cuff first impression as I'm doing now, taking more time of a track to investigate its heart. But I think the number is quite beautiful. It touches you in expression. It's a gorgeous piece, beautifully fulfilled on expertise, on musical craftsmanship, and on vocals. Heidi is a great fit, as really every artist has been for this album. And it's fun, of course, per general, with any other collaborative talent coming through on Mortemia's works, it's great to be introduced. And with Heidi, at some point, again, my promise to you, we will, God willing, dig deeper. And whatever that day is, I don't know. There's a whole list of artists I have to get through. But I do plan, again, on the artists I've investigated with any entry of Mortemia to dive deeper with at a later date per their group attributions. And with Heidi, I will keep her name on the list, especially since you tell me she's a trained lyric soprano. I'm really big in like operatic metal right now. And I didn't used to be a big opera guy, or anything, again, of that higher pitch caliber, so I'm kind of like, well, you know, it's metal that built a love for that with me. I kind of want to hear it, so maybe I'll fast track her. We'll see what happens, but either way, this is our conclusion to our journey thus far with the Pandemic Pandemonium sessions, not with Mortemia. We will return, hopefully soon. We'll see what develops with the COVID Aftermath sessions. I'm waiting eagerly for that opportunity, but it was an honor to be able to return with you to this album that I felt had a great introduction, and to give her same respect I did to 7, or not maybe necessarily 7 of our artists, but a good helping of the share we've entertained previously that I had not yet been introduced to, but they were very much a first introduction per the Mortemia model as I see it. I wanted to carry that legacy with the remaining 5 names, because I think it's respectful to them, right? And I love being able to introduce myself to new voices within the music space, and it was an honor to do so with you and Mutual Company. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this number down below if you do wish to disclose your perspective and your vantage point of approach, whether you happen to be knowledgeable on Mortemia or Heidi Parviainen, or that was a fresh introduction for you on either respect or both. Feel free to chime in. Again, doors open for Mortemia. I'm looking forward to whatever Morten Veland has planned next. His expression in music always fascinates me. And to experience it with you, again, generally with music, and certainly true to Mortemia, it enriches the experience. But again, the essence of Mortemia with this collaborative model, just as somebody who is self-educating his way through other names, I love doing that with artists in general. I love being able to learn about new talents abroad. And with Mortemia, there's a wonderful window to do so with his work. And it's been quite fun to do so with a great helping of artists off the Pandemic Pandemonium sessions. And in the future, that journey for sure will be carried forward. And I'm waiting eagerly for our next opportunity to get to sharing that together. Thank you so much for watching this video. Before you bounce, feel free to drop a like and comment, subscribe to this channel with a ding on the bell, and share this video with your friends. And consider checking out the description here. There you'll find links to my other channels, as well as addresses to my other social media accounts and ways you can help support my work if you feel so inclined. May God bless you, and looking forward to when our paths cross again.